I suppose I was a bit cryptic last night when I said we'd been on the road. I think I let myself get psyched out by someone saying we could be tracked, so I didn't give out where we were going. About 3 hours after I posted last night, we made it to my in-laws' cabin, located in the woods, and although that may sound foolish, I thought it would be a good place to go because there are 4 generators here. We stopped at a store and stocked up on food, flashlights, even though I know they don't affect the smilers, water, and other random supplies, and I bought 2 large hunting knives. As someone else said, knives don't run out of bullets. We didn't pass anywhere that sold ammunition, otherwise I would have stopped and gotten as much as I could carry. We got to the cabin around 9-ish last night, so already we were preparing for something to happen. We put our daughter to sleep in the family room of the cabin and stayed in there with her. I brought 2 of the generators into the room with us so they would be handy in the event of a smiler-caused blackout. We had all the blinds closed, except one. And that was simply so I could maybe see one of these things flailing about toward us before it saw us. The woods were pitch black beyond the solitary beam of light that shone through the uncovered window. The silence around us proved to be too unnerving to handle, so I put in a DVD I had bought in the player to have some background noise while my wife and I anxiously awaited whatever may or may not be coming for us tonight. It was around 12:30 that I jolted awake. I must have dozed off while sitting there with my wife, who was also now asleep as well. The power was still on, but the lights flickered. I quietly stood up and looked out the window. I saw nothing at first. Then, in the distance, I saw 2 very small orbs of light just appear into existence. They were stationary for a moment. They began to bounce up and down. Then, about a foot away from those, 2 more appeared, and 2 more, and then 2 more. There must have been 40 of these lights, all starting as still as can be and then proceeding to lightly bounce up and down. Then I realized they were getting bigger as they bounced. And then again I noticed they weren't just getting bigger, they were getting closer. Then I realized what they were. They were the Smiler's eyes. I could not see their bodies in the darkness of the night, but their eyes shined like sparklers on the 4th of July as they got closer. Finally, I saw first one's silhouette. It was big. Bigger than I'd seen before. And shortly after that, the rest came into my view. I woke my wife and told her to protect our daughter. It was then that the lights went out. I immediately revved up the generator and plugged the lights into it. I looked out the window and the Smilers had stopped advancing. They then let out an ear-shattering howl of laughter, as if someone had just told them the funniest joke they'd ever heard. In the middle of this, the generator shut off. I scrambled to start the other one, but all it did was rev and never turned on. They somehow blocked the use of the generators. I felt like this was it. I felt like they had trapped us and that this was the end of the line. I took my phone out to hopefully, as you guys suggested, take pictures for proof and maybe leave something to let anyone know what happened to us. I began taking pictures with the flash on my phone. I pretty much just mashed the screen over and over, taking as many as possible. The scariest thing was, with each flash, I could see them perfectly, and every time I took a picture, they were in a different pose, each one different from the next. It was absolutely horrifying. They then let out another screeching laugh. This one startled me so bad I dropped the phone on the couch. I picked it up, and when I directed my eyes back toward the window, a female smiler was standing there, excitedly waving at me. It was then that we heard all the glass around us shatter, all at the exact same moment. I spun around, and due to the darkness, I could barely make out figures crawling through the drawn curtains. Their bodies moved, for lack of a better word, lackadaisically. They kind of threw themselves over the partition through where the glass no longer was, then flailed their limbs over. Luckily, it took quite some time for them to get through. I looked back at the window I was initially in front of, and for the first time, I saw a different expression on a smiler's face. She had a look of pure surprise, raised eyebrows with a hand over her mouth. It looked sarcastic, though. I grabbed the gun and fired it directly into the surprised-looking one's face. I fired close enough to the window that it completely shattered, and when the figurative dust settled, there was no smiler there anymore. A wave of confidence rushed over me, although I was in shock. I'd never killed anything in my life before. I snapped back to reality when I heard my wife softly say my name. I turned around, and there was the woman's smiler directly in front of me. Only she wasn't smiling. She looked furious. There was pain in her eyes. She struck me with an open back hand, which had way too much power for the size of woman she was, and it sent me tumbling back. I grabbed the knife off the table I landed next to and unsheathed it. The woman let out a lone laugh, while the rest of the smilers advanced from the other parts of the house from which they crawled into toward my family and I. I got up, my entire being comprised of nearly all fear, and I decided to go for broke. I lunged at the woman and swung my arm in a stabbing motion. As soon as the knife would have connected, she vanished, along with the rest of the smilers. At the same moment, the lights turned on, and inexplicably, all the generators began running, including the ones outside. I stumbled forward, nearly falling on my face, dropping the knife to the floor. I immediately got my grounding and rushed to my family's aid. Though stricken to their core with terror, they were unharmed. My wife insisted we immediately leave and get to somewhere more populated. We got in the car and began driving. I asked my wife to look in my phone at the pictures I took, as I told her I wanted to get pictures of them for proof so I could show the people of Reddit's no sleep and get their opinion on what we were dealing with. As frustrating as this is going to sound, each and every picture I took last night was completely black. Not pure black like the camera wasn't working, but black like I was shining it into nothing and wasn't using the flash. There is no other way I can think to explain it. I let out a loud, "Fuck!" much to the grimace of my wife. I knew that when they laughed after I took the pictures, it was because they knew they were not going to turn out. My daughter was in tears, and I don't blame her. I don't know what to think about this night's events. Had I stopped them from hurting us by swinging the knife? No answers had really been given. I talked to my wife and we decided it might be a good idea to take the advice of several commenters and split up. We bought a car decent enough to get my wife and daughter to her parents' house today, while I will be staying at a hotel nearby in case something does in fact happen to them. I have also contacted a paranormal researcher who will be meeting me at my hotel and has agreed to stay with me for the night to hopefully witness what has been going on. In addition to this, because I stressed the urgency of everything going on, he said he would make my case priority 1 and do some quick research into my family as well as my house before meeting with me. I will provide more insight to what we, meaning the researcher and I, discuss, as well as any events related to this that may occur. I appreciate everyone's advice. I have taken each and every comment to heart and will continue to. So please do not spare any tips or tricks you have. I'm already kicking myself for forgetting to salt the doors and windows at the cabin. It was a foolish mistake of me considering the gravity of everything. I will post again as soon as I can, God willing. As always, wish me luck.